People have lots to say about diet and acne this week. Quoting this commenter, why do people in tribes in Africa who only eat natural food not have acne? Why is acne most common in America, where most processed food and weakest food regulations are? He then goes on to quote like specific tribes like the Maasai, etc. And he talks about a story of a man who came from one of these tribes and moved to the United States and developed acne. Must be from his diet, right? I'm gonna walk through this argument bit by bit and show you why it's bunk. I think the first issue with this argument is flattening like tribes in Africa to like one kind of person. There are loads of different people all over the world that have tribal traditions and are in touch with their tribal heritage. That does not mean that they do not live modern lives. I think it is a really weird idea to think of all people who have some sort of tribal heritage as like somehow living in the Stone Age. Just because they have a tribal culture does not mean that they're like not living in modern society. We're also kind of talking about like a whole continent of people with different heritage, so like the argument is very weak. Our second argument here, why is acne most common in America? The answer to that is it is not. Doing epidemiological studies about conditions like acne that are so common is not easy. However, there are a lot of different studies that have been coming out trying to look at the global prevalence of acne, where it concentrates, and how it's been changing over time. This is one letter to the editor that came out in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology. They basically split their cohorts into regions around the world, and you can see here the areas in gray are the prevalence of acne in these different regions. So you've got a 14.3 in North America, which is lower than other places. This is kind of in keeping with the other data that's out there that has seen that in East Asia, there's probably the highest rates of acne, and also in some Middle Eastern countries. You could see here also this African region actually does have more acne prevalence than the Americas. I think my last major point to make here has to do with the string of comments with this anecdote about a man who moved from Africa to the US and then developed acne. Number one, I don't even know if that's a true story. However, assuming it's true, it is anecdote. Anecdotal information is like one person's experience, and it is difficult to draw conclusions from one person that allow us to make generalizations about big swaths of people. Another thing to note with a story like that, like seeing that somebody moved continents and changed, the culture that they were living around, and automatically assuming that it was one thing, it must be the diet that gave this person acne, I think is very short-sighted. I always say on here, correlation does not equal causation. So two things can go together without one causing the other. So it can be true, this theoretical man moved continents, changed his diet, and developed acne, but in moving continents, like how many other things changed for this person? Probably their job, their livelihood, their stress levels, the climate that they live in, the personal care products that they use, etc. These are what we would call confounders to our hypothesis. If our hypothesis was the change in diet caused this person to develop acne, a confounder is something else that's related to both of those things. There could be another thing that is correlated with both the diet and the acne that we're not seeing because we're not talking about it. So yeah, that's why.